Something unfolded inside the dazzling chaos of the OTT Awards 2026. A moment so quiet, so fleeting, that no one expected it would take over the internet within minutes. Amid the flashing lights, the red carpet glamour, and the endless applause, the cameras suddenly captured something different. Not a speech, not a win, not a dramatic entrance, but a whisper between Tian Xiwei and Zhang Linghe. A simple lean-in, a soft exchange of words, a moment that lasted only seconds. It felt like it froze time. And in that exact instant, the world outside the frame stopped paying attention to everything else. Because this wasn't planned. This wasn't staged. This was caught. And once it hit social media, there was no turning back. The OTT Awards 2026 was supposed to be predictable in its structure. A grand celebration of talent. A night filled with applause, speeches, and recognition. The hall was glowing with elegance. Cameras were constantly moving. Every seat was occupied by stars who understood the weight of the moment. But sometimes, the most unforgettable moments are not the ones written in the script. They are the ones that happen in between. Tian Xiwei and Zhang Linghe were seated among the guests. Calm, composed, blending into the rhythm of the ceremony. Until the atmosphere subtly changed. Tian Xiwei leaned slightly forward, her attention shifting away from the stage. Zhang Linghe turned toward her almost instinctively, as if responding to something only he could hear clearly. The distance between them narrowed. No grand gestures, no exaggerated expressions, just closeness, just a whisper. And somehow, that small exchange disrupted the entire emotional tone of the moment. Because even in a room full of celebrities, the camera chose that second to focus. And everything changed. In the age of instant reaction, silence is never silent for long. The clips surfaced quickly online, first in short fragments, then in slowed-down edits, then in zoomed-in replays that tried to catch every micro-expression. And suddenly, it wasn't just a moment anymore. It was a phenomenon. Fans began analyzing everything. The angle of the lean, the softness of their expressions, the way Zhang Linghe tilted his head slightly closer, the way Tian Xiwei's posture relaxed in that brief exchange. Nothing was loud, but everything felt intentional, even if it wasn't. Within hours, the clips spread across international fandom spaces, especially among Cdrama communities who were already familiar with both stars' growing popularity. And the reaction was immediate. Confusion, curiosity, excitement, emotional overload. Not because anything explicit happened, but because nothing needed to happen. Sometimes, a glance and a whisper are enough to create an entire story in the minds of viewers. As expected, the fandom reaction split into different emotional directions. Some fans were overwhelmed, describing the moment as soft, unexpectedly intimate, and even too cinematic to be real. Others couldn't stop replaying it, claiming they were trying to decode what the whisper might have been about, even though no audio existed. Comments flooded timelines. It felt like a hidden scene from a drama. Why does this feel so personal, even though it's just a moment? I shouldn't be this emotionally invested in a 3-second clip. But at the same time, another group of viewers remained grounded. They reminded others that award shows are loud, crowded, and chaotic environments, where actors often communicate closely just to hear each other. A simple exchange could mean anything. A greeting, a comment about the stage, a reaction to something happening off camera. Nothing more than that. But in fandom spaces, interpretation often travels faster than explanation, and emotion always arrives first. The reason this moment stayed in people's minds wasn't because of what was said. It was because of what was felt. Human perception is deeply influenced by silence, distance, and body language. And in this brief interaction, everything aligned perfectly. Tian Xiwei's subtle lean forward suggested comfort, not tension. Zhang Linghe's attentive response suggested focus, not distraction. There was no rush, no discomfort, no visible interruption from the surrounding noise. Just two people briefly existing in their own small bubble inside a massive, chaotic event. And that contrast between intimacy and spectacle is what made the moment so visually powerful. Because in a room full of hundreds of people, the camera accidentally captured something that felt like it didn't belong to the crowd. It felt private, even if it wasn't. And that feeling alone was enough to spark global attention. By the time the OTT Awards 2026 ended, winners had been celebrated, speeches had been delivered, and the official highlights had been published. But online, a different narrative had already taken over. The whisper moment became the unofficial highlight of the night. Edited clips flooded platforms. Slow-motion breakdowns multiplied. Fans created theories, captions, emotional edits, and cinematic reinterpretations. Each version added a new layer of meaning. Some saw chemistry, some saw coincidence, some saw nothing unusual at all, but all of them saw the same clip. And that's what made it powerful. Because viral culture doesn't require confirmation. It only requires attention. And this moment had plenty of it. Even without dialogue clarity. Even without context. Even without explanation. It became unforgettable. Not because it told a story, but because it allowed millions of people to feel like it did. So what truly made this moment spread so quickly across the world? Was it just a normal exchange between two actors during a busy award ceremony? A simple whisper lost in the noise of the event? Or was it something else entirely? Something created not by the moment itself, but by the emotions of those who watched it unfold. And in an era where every second can become a global headline, are we witnessing reality as it is, or reality as it is felt?